Greetings from the English Literature YouTube channel. It is a one-stop destination to soothe all your literary curiosities.
In this video, we'll read the poem Sita, written by an Indian English poet, Toru Dutt. So let's begin with the brief introduction of the poet. So Toru Dutt was born in 1856 in Calcutta. She was fortunate having a happy family environment. She had a well-known westernized family. Her father, Govind Chandra Dutt, was a well-to-do Bengali gentleman and poet. When Toru was only 6 years old, her family embraced Christianity. In 1869, her family shifted to Europe, where she attended a French school. By that time, she had already lost her brother Abzu in 1865. After a year, the family moved to London, and in 1873, the family finally returned to India. A few months after their return in 1874, her sister Aru died. Taru, all alone, turned her attention to her literary ambitions. She also learned Sanskrit, and within a year she became proficient in it. Toru died in 1877, leaving an unfinished French novel and an English novel. Though she lived for a very short period of time of only 22 years, but had a remarkable, productive, and creative life. Three happy children in a darkened room. What do they gaze with wide open eyes? In the very first line, three children are the poetess and her siblings, Aru, her elder sister, and Abzu, her younger brother. They are in a darkened room. The second line is questioning where are the children gazing with amazement. The children here are listening to the story of the goddess Sita, which was narrated by their mother. They are gazing at the picture that unfolds. A dense forest, where no sunbeam pries, and its center a cleared spot, there bloom gigantic flowers on creepers that embrace tall trees, there in a quiet lucid lake. The white swans glide, they are waiting from the break. According to these lines of the poem, there is a dense forest. Here, the repetition of the term dense is used to describe how thick the forest is. It is so deep that the sunbeam sparsely touches the ground, and in the center there is a clear spot where big flowers are blooming on the creepers that are climbing up to the tall trees. There is a calm, blazing lake in which many white swans are floating and making sounds by flapping their feathers. The peacock springs. Their herds of wild deer race. Their patches gleam with yellow waving grain. Their blue smoke from strange altars rises light. There dwells in peace the poet anchorite. This paragraph is describing the beautiful peacocks who are dancing in joy, and a group of deer are racing each other. There are patches on the ground which are shining with yellow grains. From strange huts or hermitage, bluish smoke is coming out, where resides poet anchorite peacefully. Here, poet anchorite is referring to the mythical character Saint Valmiki, and bluish smoke is of Yasna. But who is this fair lady? Not in vain she weeps, for lo, at every tear she sheds, tears from 3 pairs of young eyes fall amain, and bowed in sorrow are the 3 young heads. Again, a question is asked here. Who is this lovely lady? She is weeping, and her tears is not meaningless, because with her every tears, 3 pairs of eyes also shedding tears. Here, the 3 pairs of eyes are of the innocent eyes of 3 children, Taru, Abzu, and Aru. Their heads are reclined with the sorrow of the goddess Sita. It is an old, old story and a lay which has evoked sad Sita from the past. Is by a mother sung, 'tis hushed at last, and melts the picture from their sight away. Yet shall they dream of it until the day. The above lines conclude that the story is very old and recalls goddess Sita from the pages of history. Mother of 3 kids was narrating this story and she ended it at last. The picture of sad Sita quickly faded away from their minds. However, the kids will be dreaming about her until they wake up in the next morning. When shall those children by their mother's side gather? Ah me! Ours that eventide? After ending the story, mother embraced the children with love. These 2 lines hint at the subjective part of the story. Here the poet asks when those children gathered by their mother's side to listen to the tale of Sita. Answers, ah me, means she is actually talking about herself. Long before in her childhood days, she used to gather around her mother along with her siblings Aru and Abzu to listen to the stories. Now it's time to analyze the poetry. So the poem is composed of 22 lines, grouped into a single stanza. It is written in the most common meter used in any conventional poetry, that is iambic pentameter. Rhyming scheme of the poem is AB, BA, CD, DC, EF, FE, GH, GH, II, JJ, KK. It can be grouped into 5 quatrains and a couplet. The first 3 quatrains represent the forest, in which Sita is abandoned by Rama. The darkness of the forest and the darkened room in which children are listening to the story narrated by their mother resembles each other. Fourth quatrain depicts the plight of the 3 children towards goddess Sita. By reading fifth quatrains, we familiarize the mother's art of storytelling that is so rich that the children can feel the character's pain, and it evoked sad Sita from the pages of history. Here, the poet is alluding to her own mother. The last couplet shows the speaker's nostalgia for those childhood days when she, with her siblings, gathers around her mother and listens to the stories in bed. Throughout the poem, third-person narrative scheme has been used, while in the last 2 lines, a rhetorical question has been asked in first person that gives autobiographical nature to the poem. Let's discuss the theme now. So the poem is based on the themes of seclusion, loneliness, grief, longing, patriotism, childhood nostalgia, myth, and the beauty of Indian landscape. Through the poem that depicts how the character's sadness impacted her when she was a child. Also, while writing the poem, she felt the same as Sita felt being detached from her husband. Poet is also detached from her mother and the siblings. At the time of writing this poem, they were not alive. Literary devices used in the poem. So the title of the poem, Sita, is an allusion to the mythical goddess Sita. Rhetorical exclamation is used in the poem. We can find it in these lines. We can also see the use of rhetorical question in these lines. Paleology is used in the poem to emphasize the rich description of the forest and the story of Sita through the lines. Personification is used in the lines. Here, the sun is personified with the ideas of prying into someone's affairs, and creepers with the idea of love and friendship. In the lines 7 to 11, we can see anaphora that uses the at the beginning of two lines and there in the following lines. We also find the use of metaphor in the poem. Word poet anchorite is used to connect the poet with the mythical character Valmiki. Dutt wrote this poem to mourn her own loss of happy childhood, the two siblings, and the mother in the same way as the great sage and Adi Kavi Valmiki did to mourn for the bereaved Karuncha bird. I can expect that you all must be familiar with the story of Karuncha bird and Valmiki that impelled him to compose his first verse and then the Ramayana. Let's summarize the poem. So the poem Sita reveals Toru Dutt's love for Indian myths and her sensitivity to women's suffering and victimization even in the ancient times. The title of the poem alludes to the main female protagonist of the Hindu epic, the Ramayana. The poem is based on the reaction of three children after listening to the story of Sita's second exile. Their mother was narrating the story in such a way that the whole scene comes alive and projected as if children were watching a movie about Sita. That is saying that at the center of a dense forest, where the sunlight sparsely enters, in a clear spot is a hermitage, where Sita has found her refuge. Around her there are tall trees, a lucid lake where white swans glide. Poet describes the activities and scenes of the forest. At the end, she tells the unhappy fate of Sita. Listening to the painful story, the children start crying. Mother ends up the story and draws them near and embraces them. The story has made a lasting impact on them and will stay with them until the next morning. At the end, she asks about when those children sat around their mother to listen to the story. In reply, she clarifies that those children are none other than Toru Dutt herself and her siblings Aru and Abzu. So here completed the poem Sita. Questions asked in the previous year's examination. I hope you understood this poetry. If you like this video, do like, share and subscribe for more such videos. Stay tuned to the English literature and keep soothing your literary curiosities. Thanks for watching.